I don't know. Bye bye. I love you. friendly. Later today on Morning Becomes Eclectic, we'll feature classic tracks, new releases, and inspiring new songs. Morning Becomes Eclectic is weekdays from 9 a.m. to noon on 89.9 KCRW.
Good morning, you're listening to subscriber-supported 89.9 KCRW, Santa Monica. KCRI, Indio, Palm Springs, KCRU, Oxnard, Ventura, KCRY, Mojave, and the Antelope Valley. KCRW is NPR News and handpicked music, streaming and podcasting at KCRW.com. We're a community service of Santa Monica College. NPR News is next at 7 o'clock.
Good morning. This much is certain, a health care bill will be debated in the full Senate, and there's still a lot of horse trading ahead. Analysis from Kofi Roberts on Morning Edition from NPR News. It's Monday, November 23rd. I'm Renee Montaigne. With the holidays upon us, millions of Americans are taking to the highways. This week, we're looking at road safety, beginning with a visit to a place that crashes cars to make them safer. We also ride a green train in California. We take a look at a news website offering a new business model for foreign coverage, plus a TV talk show in Iraq puts government leaders in the hot seat. And a Louisiana senator who's been doing some hard bargaining on health care can take a break today. It's her birthday. Mary Landrieu turns 54. The news is next.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Carl Castle. The U.S. military says 4 more U.S. service members have been killed in Afghanistan. From Kabul, NPR's Tom Bullock has more.
What few details have been released by U.S. officials were laid out in a sparsely worded press release. The deaths came in the last 24 hours and spanned the heart of Taliban-controlled Afghanistan. 3 U.S. troops were killed in the south of the country. 2 were killed in a bomb attack. The 3rd was shot to death in a separate firefight. The 4th U.S. troop was killed by an explosion in Afghanistan's mountainous east. 2009 has proven to be by far the deadliest year for American forces here since the invasion some 8 years ago. To date, at least 297 U.S. troops have been killed as the Taliban insurgency continues, and as President Obama continues to debate the future role and size of America's military in Afghanistan. Tom Bullock, NPR News, Kabul.
Closing arguments began today in Cambodia in the trial of a former Khmer Rouge prison chief. NPR's Southeast Asia correspondent Michael Sullivan reports.
The man known to many Cambodians as Comrade Doi is the first high-ranking former Khmer Rouge leader to be tried for war crimes by a joint UN Cambodian tribunal that was decades in the making. Doi showed little emotion today, as lawyers for some of his victims accused him of torture and worse during his tenure as head of the infamous School-Stone prison, where as many as 16,000 people were held, tortured, and eventually taken away to be killed. Only a handful are known to have survived. Some of those survivors had attended Doi's trial, which began several months ago. Doi is expected to take the stand as early as Wednesday. Closing arguments are expected to conclude on Friday. An estimated 1.7 million people were either killed or died from malnutrition, overwork, or torture during the 4-year-long rule of the Khmer Rouge. Michael Sullivan, NPR.
Business economists are predicting that next year will be a good one. The president of the National Association for Business Economics, Lynn Reeser, says the group's panel of 48 forecasting experts has developed a more positive look than just a month ago. He says they expect a jump in corporate profits and productivity next year.
That will be good news because better profits will encourage companies to undertake capital spending projects and also start to hire new people.
Reeser also says that the economy should finally begin to generate some new employment opportunities within the next 6 months. He adds that the new forecast is for 3.2% economic growth next year. Stocks are surging in early trading on Wall Street as the dollar continues to weaken and investors try to snap a 3-day losing streak. At this hour on Wall Street, the Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 148 points to 10,466. NASDAQ Composite Index is up 39 points to 2185. This is NPR News. For the first time in NASCAR history, one of the sport's drivers has won 4 consecutive championships. From member station WFAE, Scott Graff reports.
NASCAR has been around more than 60 years, and yesterday, Jimmy Johnson completed a feat that no driver before him, not Richard Petty, Junior Johnson, even Dale Earnhardt, could pull off. Johnson won his 4th straight season championship by finishing 5th in yesterday's season finale in Miami. Johnson is a 34-year-old California native who's among the most consistent drivers ever. He's raced at NASCAR's top level for the past 9 years. Besides his 4 titles, Johnson has finished 2nd twice and has never finished worse than 5th in the standings. Johnson races for Hendrick Motorsports, an organization that's akin to the New York Yankees of NASCAR. Hendrick drivers took the top 3 spots in this year's championship. They've won 9 of the last 15 titles. For NPR News, I'm Scott Raft in Charlotte.
According to the credit reporting agency TransUnion, more people paid their credit card bills on time in the 3rd quarter this year than in the 2nd quarter. That's the first time this has happened in a decade. The agency says the delinquency rate on bank-issued cards like those bearing MasterCard and Visa logos fell to 1.1% in the June to September period. In the period 3 months earlier, the rate was 1.17%. Ezra Beckner of TransUnion's Financial Services Group says the drop is significant, not just for its size, but also for its timing. Credit card delinquencies were highest in Nevada, Florida, Arizona, and California. Rates were lowest in North Dakota and South Dakota. I'm Carl Castle, NPR News in Washington.
Support for NPR comes from Chevy, featuring the Traverse, an 8-passenger crossover that gets 24 miles per gallon highway. Learn more at Chevy.com.
Good morning, it's 7:06 and I'm Sherry Glazer for KCRW. Just a couple of years ago, LA officials thought the city had 186 medical marijuana dispensaries. These days, they're not so sure. Some say there could be as many as 1,000. So this week, the city council will try to decide how many is too many. KCRW's Melissa Grant has more.
Council members are set to weigh in on more than 3 dozen amendments when they resume debate on the proposed medical marijuana ordinance this week. The LA Times reports that the city attorney and the DA vigorously oppose the sale of medical marijuana at dispensaries, saying it violates state law. They want the council to ban it. The council won't agree on an outright ban, but it is looking at ways to put a cap on the number of pot clinics. The proposed LA ordinance would initially cap the number at the original 186 by requiring other dispensaries to close for 6 months before applying to reopen. It would also require the dispensaries to be located at least 1,000 feet from other pot clinics and from schools. Marijuana advocates say that what they call an arbitrary cap could limit access to medicinal pot. For KCRW, I'm Melissa Graham.
Thanksgiving is supposed to be a time of plenty and a time for giving thanks for that supply. But more and more people are having trouble even covering the basics these days due to the economic crisis. New numbers from the USDA find that 12% of Californians last year were food insecure. In other words, 1 out of every 7 Californians struggled to get enough nutritious food on a consistent basis, and many of those were children. Michael Flood is CEO of the Los Angeles Regional Food Bank, which collects and distributes food to more than 500 charitable agencies across the county. He's worked in the field for almost 20 years and says he's never seen such an explosion in the need for assistance.
It's similar to a natural disaster, but what's different also from a natural disaster is this is not ending. It's not as if, the relief marched in and people are able to get back into homes or into other homes, which typically is what occurs with, a medium-sized natural disaster. This is an issue that is the problem is just continuing.
There is a silver lining to all this, if you can call it that. Flood says he's meeting with a lot of receptiveness when he reaches out to donors for help.
You don't have to explain that they're hungry people anymore. I mean, many people know, family members, friends, neighbors, we're struggling right now.
The LA Food Bank's Michael Flood says donors from retailers to companies in the food industry to private foundations are stepping up to the plate. The need is great, but Flood says even relatively small donations can make a big difference.
Because we're heavily leveraging donated food, and I have this huge volunteer force that is able to do this work. We're able to turn $1 into 4 meals, and the way we're able to do that is because, again, we're picking up truckloads of donated food where the cost of the food is zero to us, and our expenses are really trucking and distribution and handling from a food bank standpoint.
Flood says as little as $5 can provide a substantial amount of food to a family that needs help. For further info on the food bank, go to lafightshunger.org. And that's KCRW News. Taking a look now at traffic. Downtown Los Angeles, South 5 before Broadway. That's where we've got a wreck at the right shoulder. Could be slowing you down as you try to make your way into the East LA interchange. Meanwhile, the Palms area of West LA, this is on the 10 eastbound before Overland. We've got a wreck involving a minivan that's tying up the right lane there. Long Beach on the Willow on-ramp to the northbound 710. Apparently a vehicle went over the side. And in Cerritos, westbound 91 past Carmenita, a wreck involving a pickup truck. Sunny and on the breezy side today. We're looking for highs ranging from the upper 60s to the mid-70s. It's 51 degrees in downtown Los Angeles, 46 in Manhattan Beach, 30 degrees right now in Lancaster. You're listening to 89.9 KCRW. It's 710.
This is Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm Renee Montaigne. Senate Democrats united over the weekend to move forward on health care. They didn't actually pass a health care bill. What they did was agree to go ahead and debate the bill in the Senate. Still, some Democratic senators say they will not vote for a final health care proposal without big changes. Joining us now, as she does most Monday mornings, is NPR analyst Cookie Roberts. Good morning.
Good morning, Renee.
And the Democrats eked out just enough votes to bring the health care bill to the floor, and it required some fast-footed deal-making by Majority Leader Harry Reid. So what does that mean for the bill's ultimate success?
The most famous of the trades was with Mary Landrieu, senator from my home state of Louisiana, who got $300 million to try to fix something that had happened as a result of all the money coming in after Katrina that made it look like people in the state were richer than they were, and the Medicaid problems resulted from that. So that's just one of many deals that Reid is going to have to make to get this bill through. You add to that Democrats drawing lines in the sand over the so-called public option, with liberals saying they won't support a bill without it, conservatives saying they won't support a bill with it, and you're going to see the cost of this legislation going up, up, up. Senator Reid, however, is dogged. He's determined to get it done no matter the cost, and other Democrats are eager to get it over with so they can move on to jobs.
Well, speaking of the costs, which is a concern for a lot of Americans, last Friday the Congressional Budget Office sent Senator Reid an analysis of the cost of this Senate bill. The numbers are likely to cause problems for Democrats. Would you say so? What's your reading?
Well, the numbers are pretty daunting. The premiums depend on your income, your age, what area you live in. The CBO sent out a rough estimate that said it would be about an average of $5,200 for a single person to buy a policy, more than $14,000 for a family of four by 2016. And remember, everybody's required to have insurance. Now, some of those people will have subsidies, but all of that will cost taxpayer money. So that's why it's going to be this great big bill costing a great deal of money. And you can make a very valid case that we're already paying a lot more by uninsured people going to emergency rooms, but those are hidden costs to most of us. This time we'll actually know what it costs, and we're not likely to like it. It makes it very hard to pass an already difficult to pass bill. And add to that, Renee, we have these continuing fights over abortion and immigration, and now we're discovering there are going to be new fights over guns in the insurance bill. And so the work just gets harder and harder to get it passed.
And Cookie, another problem supporters of the health care bill rose last week, seemingly right out of the blue. A government-appointed panel came out with its recommendations about breast cancer screening mammograms, and which became quite controversial and tied into a health care bill.
Yeah, you heard a lot about that on Saturday during floor debate.
flooded the program with applications. In the latest report in our series on teaching, here's Larry Abramson, profiles one new teacher.
Isaac Builders Middle School in the Canarsie neighborhood of Brooklyn. Tim Cooper, a 6'4", baby-faced blonde from Ohio, is teaching his science students how to weigh a beaker of water.
What happens if I put the cup in the water, Mr. Cookie-Mouse? What do I get in the bathtub? Yeah, I'm getting the cup in the water.
This classroom hums with Brooklyn attitude, but Tim Cooper commands respect, even though he's only been a teacher for a grand total of 6 weeks.
Got your sound with my voice clap once. Got your sound with my voice clap twice. Got your sound with my voice clap twice.
The principal of the school tells me the newbies have the toughest time with classroom management. Tim Cooper is working on his own elaborate system of punishments and rewards. When kids pay attention, he hands out tickets. They are redeemable for a pizza party or some other treat. He got this idea by observing other teachers.
So I went to the math teacher, sat in his room one day, and saw him handing out these tickets. I don't know if you noticed, but when I started throwing out tickets, you saw everyone's heads turn up and go, so I don't have to say anything, I don't have to raise my voice. I don't have to call kids out.
And that's how TFA is supposed to work. Tim Cooper learns on the job. He relies heavily on the many mentors and advisors the program and the school provide.
Off the bat. Off the bat. Go. Wizard, go.
During breaking classes, Cooper makes sure kids are going where they're supposed to. He's already mastered the key task of learning kids' names. Keeps up an easy pattern for many of them. Teacher America is highly selective. This past year, the program only had space for 1 out of 7 applicants. TFA only takes on people who can work independently. Island Samoa, who manages the training program, says the 5-week course that TFA teachers go through might not be enough for everyone.
This system is set up for folks who are high achieving, can take challenge really well, won't fold.
TFA teachers all have different stories, but most have a kind of epiphany. After studying biology at Denison University, Tim Cooper worked in a biomedical lab for a couple of years, and he worked in the Ohio State Senate. All along, he felt the draw of teaching. TFA's quick path to the classroom spoke to his desire to get to work.
For me, the choice was, I want to get to that classroom, I want to do it now. When I was working in the Ohio Senate, I saw firsthand, I had kids coming in saying they hadn't had science teacher, a proper science teacher in 4 years. It floored me. I was like, I can't wait for 2 years to get a master's and then get to a classroom.
Now that Tim is here, the big question is, will he stay? Teach for America only requires a 2-year commitment, but the organization has been working on that weak spot. It now says that 2/3 of all core members have remained in education. Tim Cooper says he can't say for sure what he'll be doing in 2 years, but he is committed to teaching. The school's principal, Alex Fralin, says he had never hired a TFA teacher before Tim Cooper because retaining teachers is so important.
Very good. That's probably the first, if not the second question that's in the email. And I really look for a 3-year minimum
From anyone.
from anyone. Particularly for new teachers because we spend so much time and so much money on their growth and development.
Others are concerned that TFA has raised unrealistic expectations. Rick Cobden, Dean of the Education School at San Diego State University, says he can't afford to recruit the way TFA can, such as conducting face-to-face interviews in schools around the country.
Multi-millions of dollars, most of them private dollars, are supporting Teach for America work, not to discount what it is that they have accomplished. But it hasn't been without financial support above and beyond what would typically be given to any other education enterprise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Tell me what you're doing.
So TFA may not hold the solution for reforming teacher education nationwide, but for individual schools and for individuals like Tim Cooper, it's a nice fit. Larry Abramson, NPR News, Washington.
Good morning, it's 7:19 on this Monday. I'm Sherry Blazer, and you're listening to Morning Edition on 89.9 KCRW. KCRW sponsors include Freestyle Releasing, presenting me and Orson Welles, which chronicles a whirlwind week during Orson Welles' groundbreaking productions at the Mercury Theater in 1937, in theaters November 25th. Plenty still to come on Morning Edition, including as millions of people get ready to hit the road this week for Thanksgiving. NPR is looking at ways to improve road safety, and many news outlets are being forced to cut their overseas staff, but one online company is trying something different. We'll get the details.
Support comes from the Broad Stage in Santa Monica, presenting an evening with acclaimed choreographer Twyla Tharp on Monday, December 7th at 7:30 p.m. In this talk, Tharp discusses her life and work, sharing what she's learned from collaborating with some of the most gifted artists on the planet, including Mikhail Baryshnikov, Jerome Robbins, Billy Joel, Frank Sinatra, and David Byrne. For tickets, call 310-434-3200 or visit thebroadstage.com.
A technical glitch threw a scare into the airline industry last week. How reliable is the aging system of air traffic control? I'm Warren Hoffman. On to-the-point cars and cell phones now communicate with global positioning satellites. Why don't the cockpits of commercial airplanes? Will GPS make the next generation of air traffic control safer and more convenient? Now, to the point at noon, repeated on Which Way LA at 7, 89.9 KCRW.
The Santa Monica College Music Department will present an eclectic mix of concerts in December, including several that will feature holiday music. Jazz, opera, musical theater, and more will be featured. For tickets, go to smc.edu/eventsinfo or call 310-434-4323.
Going to be plenty of sunshine on tap today, but also a little bit on the breezy side. We're looking for highs ranging from the upper 60s to mid-70s. Should be even warmer tomorrow with highs in the 70s and low 80s. Now back to Morning Edition. It's 7:21.
Millions of Americans will be taking to the highways this Thanksgiving week. For most, the journey will end safely, but for some, it will be deadly. Last year, nearly 400 people were killed in traffic accidents over the Thanksgiving holiday. That's a tiny fraction of the 37,000 people killed in crashes last year. Still, road deaths have declined sharply, and last year the U.S. recorded the fewest highway deaths since 1961. This week, NPR is looking at different aspects of road safety. Our series begins with a look at the testing and technologies that are making vehicles safer. And here's Brian Nealon reports.
The Insurance Institute for Highway Safety's Vehicle Research Center sits in the hills near Charlottesville, Virginia. In the lobby, 2 smashed Chryslers greet guests. Further inside are dozens of other wrecks, some more disturbing than others. The Institute's Russ Rader is our guide.
When we did this test, the crash test dummy sitting in the driver's seat with grease paint on the side of her head, you can see where her head was struck by the hood of the SUV. And that would have been a fatal crash in a real-world scenario.
Today we're going to witness another side impact crash test of a new Ford Ranger pickup. David Zuby is Vice President of the Institute.
We're going to run into it with what we call a moving deformable barrier. It's going to come from that door behind you, running down the runway at 31 miles an hour.
The Insurance Institute spends about $1.5 million a year buying new cars from area dealers and then crashing them, usually twice a week. The result, says Zuby, a safer, more crash-worthy car.
We were talking about the frontal crash test in 1995. Half the vehicles that we tested only earned a poor rating from us. Today, virtually every car we run in that configuration earns a good rating.
The Insurance Institute has just released its latest list of top safety picks. It's a smaller list than last year because of a new test to determine a car's ability to withstand a rollover. Meanwhile, technician Tyler Ayers painstakingly applies grease paint to the face of a small female crash test dummy sitting in the Ford's cab.
We got to be as light as we can because, especially with this dummy, it doesn't weigh very much. We're just pushing on with your finger, enough pressure to, I said, turn back your fingernail while you could move it a degree. So you have to gingerly apply it, but very, very light.
After the crash, technicians will note where the grease paint leaves its mark, hopefully on the vehicle's airbags. The crash test dummies are integral to the work of the Insurance Institute. They have their own lab where they sit in varying sizes and functions, awaiting their call to duty. Spare heads are lined up on a shelf. Institute Vice President Joe Nolan says the dummies don't say much, but convey a lot of information.
This guy can measure the deflection of the chest. It's got sensors at the top, so you can measure forces wanting to rip the head off to the rear, to the left, and up. So bending this way, bending this way, bending that, bending that.
And he says they always come back for more.
They can take a huge beating. In fact, all of their parts are replaced. And so you never have a spare crash test that will be thrown away. Despite
guided drone intent on destruction. And just like that, it's over. Technicians with brooms sweep up the broken glass and check for fuel leaks. The side of the Ranger is pretty well stoved in, knows Joe Nolan.
Well, it looks like a lot of detonation, and that makes it a real challenge for the airbag to protect the occupant.
But according to the readout from the dummy sensors, if there had been a person in the cab, she'd probably be okay. As cars have gotten more crashworthy, automakers are turning to technology to help drivers avoid crashes. Electronics that prevent skidding and rollovers, and cameras and radar that see objects drivers might hit.
Other cars, trees at the side of the road, what have you, and make calculations about how quickly am I approaching this, and do we have time to apply the brakes and avoid the impact altogether.
Even with such high-tech safety systems, it's unlikely car crashes will ever be eliminated. But Zuby says with that as a goal, there's a chance of coming close. Brian Naylor, NPR News.
Tomorrow, a look at how road design is changing to improve safety. Watch crash test videos and crash test dummies through the ages at NPR.org. And one of the busiest passenger rail trains in the nation is getting a new engine, and it's a greener engine. It's not the electric one many environmentalists hope for in the long run, but it is a cleaner form of diesel. Capital Public Radio's Ben Adler hopped on board in Sacramento.
Brittany Shockey is a regular rider on Amtrak's Capital Corridor route between Sacramento and the San Francisco Bay Area. She was on a train last Friday, putting on some makeup.
I'm in a long-distance relationship. So I'm actually going to meet him in Martinez.
And that's why you're putting it back.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I'm putting on the makeup on the train, because I woke up at an ungodly hour after a hard night of drinking and got on a train and had no makeup on.
The trains on this line have diesel engines that rank last on the EPA scale of emission levels, a Tier 0, but that's starting to change. This week, the first Tier 2 diesel engine will hit the tracks. There's money for more on the way. Larry Greens with the Sacramento Metropolitan Air Quality Management District, one of the agencies footing the bill.
They get 45% less pollution than the same engine before the upgrade, and use 20% less fuel. So it's a good deal for greenhouse gases, for ozone, and for particulates.
Most riders I talked with hadn't heard about the new engine, though they're glad it's on the way. But one, UC Davis grad student Joanna Kaufman, is holding out for something more.
I'm waiting for the electric high-speed rail to come, but I know it's probably not going to be for a while.
Environmentalists like David Pettit with the Natural Resources Defense Council are happy with the new diesels as a first step.
I think it's very positive that the project is going from bad diesel to better diesel. I'd like to see in the medium run going from good diesel to electric propulsion, which is even cleaner.
Until then, Pettit will settle for what's being called the cleanest diesel passenger locomotive in California. For NPR News, I'm Ben Affleck in Sacramento.
It's 7:29 and you're listening to Morning Edition on 89.9 KCRW. NPR News for Southern California, including Thousand Oaks and the Maple Valley at 102.3.
Support for NPR comes from NPR member stations and from Cabot Creamery Cooperative, 5 generations of New England and New York farm families working together to produce naturally aged traditional Vermont cheddar cheese. From Kaufman, the foundation of entrepreneurship, supporting the entrepreneurs movement. Learn more at buildastrongeramerica.com. And from Novo Nordisk, committed to changing diabetes through treatments, partnerships, and education. Defeating diabetes is our passion and our business. This is NPR.
And this is 89.9 KCRW. I'm Sherry Glazer. The 16th Pomona Freeway has got you kind of going this morning in Phillips Ranch, westbound 60 toward 71. We've got a wreck over to the right shoulder. Meanwhile, in East LA, eastbound 60 just past Indiana, we've got an injury accident involving an overturned vehicle. The right lane is taken away. In West LA, eastbound 10 near Overland CHP, still dealing with this earlier wreck at the right shoulder, but the westbound side of 10 definitely the rougher ride out the East LA interchange.
Good morning, I'm Renee Montaigne. Charles Darwin's revolutionary book on the origin of species turns 150 tomorrow. It's the book where Darwin introduced the theory of natural selection and survival of the fittest. To mark this publishing milestone, Christie's will be auctioning off a recently discovered treasure, a rare first edition. It had been survived